Welcome to the Fallon Forum today. Real quick, we want to thank our organizational sponsors, the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the Great March for Climate Action for helping to make this program possible. We'd also like to thank the Fallon Forum business partners and encourage you to patronize them. Thanks to Gateway Market and Cafe, located at 20th and Woodland on the edge of downtown in the Sherman Hill neighborhood. Gateway's grocery section showcases many products from local farms and producers. Gateway is also a great place for breakfast, lunch, and supper and offers a fantastic catering service as well. Thanks also to Hawk Restaurant at East 5th and Walnut in the Des Moines East Village. At Hawk, 95% of the food is served comes from Iowa farms and Iowa producers. Thanks also to Ritual Cafe at 13th and Locust in downtown Des Moines. Ritual is a great place for coffee, tea, smoothies, a full vegetarian menu, and music on the weekends. Finally, thanks to Diana's Wedding Cakes in Newton, serving the greater Des Moines metro with customized cakes, cupcakes, cookies, and more. Ed, how are you doing today?
Good, Maddie. Tired, to be honest with you. Yeah, 2 17-mile days yesterday and about 12 today, and not the greatest night's sleep, so I'm a little tired. What's your excuse?
I had virus.
You what?
I have a virus.
Virus. Our connection is not good. I can hear you, but you're really fuzzy, fuzzier than usual. How do I sound on your end?
You still sound good on our end, so we should be all right.
Oh, good. Well, folks, if you'd like to join the conversation at any point, if you're listening live, the number to call is 515-244-0077. That's 244-0077. If you're listening on KHOI or KPVL, welcome back to the second half of the show. If you'd like to check out the program live, that's Monday through Thursday, 6 to 6:30 p.m. at www.fallonforum.com. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the trek today and what's ahead of us. But first, I got a guest I got to introduce to you all. It's Mike Boyko. He is Mark. I said it, Mark Boyko. Mark Boyko is one of our hosts here at this beautiful place on the highway between Snowflake, Arizona, and Concho. We're not too far out of Concho, and the landscape here is impressive. It's juniper trees. But I'm thinking, as a guy from Iowa that's used to 35 inches of rain and food production happening everywhere, I'm so impressed that there are people who are finding a way to make food production work here in a much more arid climate. So, Mark, I'd love to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have this group here and good energy and enlightened people that are making a difference with this march. And it's been a great afternoon.
Yeah, we certainly are trying to make a difference. A difference needs to be made. Our country seems to be not yet heading in the right direction. But, a big part of the whole climate change conversation is how do we deal with food in a world where the climate is less and less predictable. And in this part of the country, what do you have, about 11 inches of rain a year? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it varies. I mean, we're definitely in a drought. We have a huge aquifer that we sit on, so we don't have a lack of water when it comes to, drinking and irrigation, but we definitely like to have more water.
But is that aquifer dwindling down? Is it declining at all?
No.
That's good to know, because the Ogalla Aquifer out under Nebraska, which again also reaches Iowa, that thing has been severely compromised. We rely pretty much on rainfall in Iowa, and you probably rely more on wells here.
Well, we do, for sure.
How does that affect your agricultural options? What things are going on here to grow food? I presume that there are people out here, like in Iowa, who are trying to become more sustainable, more in control of their own destiny, their own food supply. How's that working?
It's working great. All my neighbors, which can range from a half mile to 10 miles away, are basically adapting and making things work by, getting together with neighbors, seeing what's working. And what's working is underground greenhouses. We can't grow citrus here, but you can dig a hole and mound up the dirt that you get from the hole on the side, build a root structure. Now you have a fully sustainable greenhouse that you can grow citrus in. As far as fruit trees go, it is a challenge here. We're 6,000 feet. We get a lot of wind, and it can get very cold. We get a very late freeze, which is also you definitely have to be picky on what fruit trees you pick. And, what people are doing, they're creating microclimates around their houses. And these are just a couple ways.
How do you create a microclimate?
Okay, so what you do is, first of all, we do have a lot of junipers. You create trees for screening. You create where the trees are working together to create protection. So everybody uses drip irrigation out here for sure.
That water comes from the wells.
From the
aquifer.
And we also create swells. And so the years that we get rain, those swells collect that rain, and that water gets stored. And so the infrastructure of the root system is now more sustainable rather than just running off. The same concept that you get from a drip irrigation, where it's slow precipitation. When you collect the water from the rain, when you create a swell, you're basically collecting it, goes down, you get a deeper root structure, things like that.
Yeah. So what kind of crops does that allow you to grow? I mean, we've got a huge variety of things we can grow in Iowa. When it comes to staples, potatoes, grains, are you able to grow some of those things?
Yeah, potatoes for sure. As far as grains, I don't know about the grains. I think a few people out here are doing some barley. I don't know about the wheat. Corn for sure. And then all your greens, your vegetables. I mean, they're doing, the broccoli and artichoke and squash and melons and tomatoes. Again, the big challenge is knowing your climate. We get the wind, so it's really harsh. You got to create shelters. You got to create these microclimates. So if it's a plastic greenhouse, hoop house, galvanized hoop house, underground Wallapini greenhouse, these are ways of sustaining food.
So beyond the greenhouse and the microclimate you create with the help of some construction, are there ways of amending the soil of fixing your soil health, your nutrient value to the point where you can direct sow, you can plant right in the ground, and again trying to fit it in between your winter?
Well, for sure. So doing your cover crops and replenishing the nitrogen back into the soil. There's a wide variety of crops you can do with that. But the main thing that I do is I create self-sustained fertilizer the simplest way, and that's basically inoculating, adding oxygen to a basic compost that's created here from recycling your greens and adding water, adding a little air pump to it. And
you mentioned kelp too.
Well, yeah, you can use kelp.
Arizona kelp.
Yeah, Arizona. No. Yeah, that's brought in, and but as far as compost, I mean, there's the vegetable compost kelp, and if you're by the ocean, that's a great source to add for compost.
So what about manure? When I make compost, one of my key elements is chicken manure. I raise chickens.
That's right.
Chicken manure is fantastic. It's firing up that compost. I use leaves, obviously, some straw as well, kitchen scraps, but the chicken manure is a key element of the nitrogen I want to get into the soil.
Yeah, so chicken's great because it ignites it because it's high in nitrogen, and so you got to be careful with that. So long, like you said, you're using straw, you're using the greens from the household,
lawn clippings even.
Lawn clippings is great, and those ratios are real important. That's why people like the lasagna effect compost. Again, I think the simplest way to get fertilizer is to inoculate it with oxygen. You're going to build the microbes when you do that, and the microbes are the little busybodies that are making everything happening. So
in Iowa, again, we have naturally good soil. It needs to be amended. It needs to be improved with compost, but it can't be replaced with compost. And is there enough vitality in the soil you have here naturally that the compost can act as an amendment, a restore of vitality, or do you have to really almost bring in the entire soil structure to make it work?
Oh, no, our soil here is good. It's a little alkaline, so we do neutralize that through the compost. That's why we're amending to that. And then, along with all these microbes. So that's the whole thing about compost. People are adding, organic matter. And as you build that organic matter, you have to do less tilling. The big phrase is no till is the way to go. We're about the same age. It's about, amending the soil, tilling it up, but you're actually disturbing the ground. But when you have ground that has been, like out here, it's desert, we have a lot of clay, a lot of sand, a lot of caliche. It doesn't have all the pine needles that's been layering through the years.
Juniper needles.
We have more berries than needles on these things.
Yeah, I noticed.
There's a lot of bark. But, again, I think the teeing is where people ought to go because it's very inexpensive to do. It's literally an aquarium, aerator with some air stones, get something that's breathable like almond sac and put that stuff in there, put it in the water, add oxygen to it, and you're going to boost your microbes instead of millions, you're going to have billions.
Folks, Mark Boyko of Concho, Arizona. I get it right this time? Mark Boyko?
That's correct.
Good. All right, good. Yeah, it usually takes me 2 strikes to get it right.
Yeah.
Mark is our guest today on the Fallon Forum. He's living off the grid here, I think, out here in Concho, Arizona. It's amazing to me how many people of all sorts of different perspectives in life are living off the grid here in this part of the state. And if you'd like to join the conversation and begin, if you want to take it in another direction, we can do that as well. I do want to talk a little bit about the governor's race in Iowa later, but give us a shout if you want to join the conversation at 515-244-0077, 244-0077. That is, of course, if you are listening live. If you're listening on one of our 2 radio affiliates, sorry, this is a rebroadcast, but you can always weigh in live Monday to Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m. at www.fallonforum.com. And since I can't see the sound of the call board from here, Maddie will interrupt me. We've got a caller. Won't you, Maddie?
We have Frank online too. He has a follow-up comment on yesterday's conversation about the Keystone Pipeline. So just so you know.
Tell Frank that despite my better judgment, we'll get back to Frank later. But I want to ask Mark about livestock. Again, it's an interesting environment, and I'm appreciating the conversation about how we make crops work here. But what about livestock? Where do livestock fit into this scheme?
Well, a lot of chickens, cattle, antelope, goats. Most people around my neighbors have goats for the milk. We trade with our neighbors all the time. We get
where do the goats, cattle? Where do they graze? What do they find for
the goats, they just graze. I mean, they eat anything. Goats will eat anything. So
laundry even.
Yeah, laundry even. But there's a lot of cattle country out here, so they're just grazing open range, all the grass that's out here. That's it.
So I mean, people can use that grazing land. That's not. I know it's a lot of it belongs to the Forest Service and maybe the Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah, BLM. A lot of it's BLM.
And that's just folks can just let their animals graze in there.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a cattle rancher, but I see a lot of cattle around here. So, and I've asked the neighbor who owns that, and they say, "Oh, that's BLM land," and I guess they have permission to open graze out there. And then people have their own land, of course. And
do you know, are there people here who are trying to become completely self-sufficient, not just regarding energy, but regarding food production? And is that possible?
Well, I'm one of those people, and I'm not there yet because I'm still fairly new here. That's my goal. I absolutely hate shopping. I hate traveling to the store. The food's not as good. I have been totally self-sustained when it came to my vegetables and things like that, and fruit. So I'm making that full circle where my goal is in the next couple of years to be fully sustainable. We trade stuff with a neighbor. It gives us elk. So we have a freezer load of elk, and I get a lot of elk, and I don't have to go hunt it, but they do it, and so that's nice.
Yeah.
I want to mention also a simple way to help your gardening success is to remineralize between the crops, and that's simply from your rock. Once it gets mineralized, that's rock dust, and that has a high concentration of calcium, which is vital for gardening. If people would just put a thin layer of, some people call it glacier dust, some people mineral dust, but it's high in calcium, and generally you can go to a quarry and so on. There's no chemicals being put down. Grab some of that, spread that in between your crop rotation, between your crops, and you'll see huge success along with the ting. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
It really works, people. It's you don't have to use insecticides and all that stuff.
So what happens when, again, the climate is changing? There are still a few people in denial, but at some point they will have to remove their heads from out under the rocks where they currently have them stashed, and they'll see what's going on. And it seems to be the trend here seems to be drier conditions, and this is already a dry area. I was talking to one couple yesterday. I said, well, what happens when they were talking about desertification, how the desert seems to be moving closer and closer every year. I asked, what do you do when the desert comes right up to your doorstep? And they said, well, we sell and move. Now, is that too fatalistic? Is desertification that serious a problem? And are there alternatives to just packing up and moving when it becomes more widespread and the conditions get even drier?
That's not my solution. I don't think, I'm all about harvesting as much water as possible. So if you're harvesting and being smart, I think everybody takes a different path. That's not my path. I really like desert living. I like being out of the riffraff of urban living.
And this isn't definitely desert, but it's darn close.
This is high desert. High desert, 6,000 feet. We're 30 minutes from the base of the White Mountains, which go to about 8 to 12,000 feet. So, this is a challenge, but it's also so beautiful that, you have...
Absolutely. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, and so, I'm motivated to dig into the ground and have a citrus. Here in the high desert, where 2 years ago it got minus 20, we have severe winds at 45 miles an hour. Hey, guess what? I'll have citrus.
And you'll do that with the help of a greenhouse.
Earth greenhouse called a Wallapini.
Wallapini. Okay, I'll have to look for that. Yeah. Well, this is fascinating, Mark. I mean, this whole area has been interesting to me. We climbed out of real desert down in Phoenix, up into the saguaro cactus area.
Yeah. And
then suddenly we were in these beautiful pine forests at 5,000 feet in Payson. And then you get above the rim, and the rim is fascinating. You literally hit this place of about 7,700 feet that suddenly you're on this vast plateau. And it looks like the texture of the countryside looks a lot like Iowa, rolling, but with everything else very, very different.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. I've never been to Iowa. So, I was raised in California, and then, now I'm out here in high desert, and I'm loving it.
Yeah. Well, great. Good luck, Mark. And again, thanks for your hospitality toward the Great March for Climate Action. People are really excited about having a place to, as beautiful as this day, and also not just for the night, but apparently for 2 nights, because we get a day off tomorrow, and folks are excited about that.
Yeah, I guess we're going to have some diverse weather here in the next couple of days.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear about this.
Meteor showers.
Oh, meteor showers. Yeah, I'm all over the meteor showers. That's supposed to happen in a big way tomorrow night, I believe.
Yeah, and then I think there's a sweat lodge. One of the neighbors invited all of us to a sweat lodge. We're going to do some partner yoga as a group and collaborate partner yoga, and a little different than traditional singular vinyasa yoga. So because this is a community, we're going to take advantage of that and do a little of that.
Now, let me ask you, are there a lot of people in northeastern Arizona who are talking about yoga, sweat lodges, and enjoying a good meteor shower?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, it's all about that. Now, as far as partner yoga out here is not like you would see in the big cities. I mean, that's a big thing. So, but people are up for it. People want to move their bodies. They want to sort of get out of their mind a little bit and open up to, relaxation and some open body parts. And, yeah, they're all for it.
All right, good to know. That's, Arizona is regarded as a, quote, red state. I've never liked the red state, blue state thing. So, yeah, it's just been fun. It's been fun to find so much common ground from so many different types of people in this part of our trip.
People are really aware out here. You would think people have given up or they're expats, but no, people are very patriotic, very about, sustaining our rights as humans and being sovereign to, the Constitution and how this country was established by our founding fathers, and about getting the backbone again and getting a strong hold and being aware and taking a march like you guys are doing. I support this type of movement.
Well, thanks so much, Mark. Yeah. Folks, if you'd like to join the conversation, 515-244-0077. Before we go to the phone lines, though, I got to share this. This information with you all. A new public poll was just released. This is a PPP poll. It was commissioned by Progress Iowa. It showed I'm quoting from a press release from earlier today. It showed a continued downward trend in support for Governor Branstad. Now that's interesting because Governor Branstad has historically won by significant margins 5 times in the general election, once over a primary challenger. Anybody remember Fred Grandy, a Republican congressman who challenged Governor Branstad back in 1990, made his fame, first of all, by being gopher on the Love Boat. No joke, gopher on the Love Boat, became a congressman and ran against Branstad, and he came as close as anybody to beating Governor Branstad. So the poll here is fascinating because even when Governor Vilsack, who at the time was a state senator, was running against a U.S. congressman, in the summertime, well beyond where we're at now, in the summertime, he was polling 26% behind the Republican congressman. And so now, to have a poll this close where you've got the Democratic senator, again, same position that Vilsack held, Democratic senator running against an incumbent governor who has already won 5 times, and he's only 5 points behind. That's interesting. That says a lot. I think, the governor, the Republican governor is, or the Republican Party is kind of writing off some of these scandals, the scandal involving the Iowa juvenile home, or the issue with the EPA and water quality, the recent issue over hush money to some state employees. These issues, the Speedgate issue, where the governor was in a car doing almost 90 miles an hour and denied knowing anything about it. These issues seem to be sticking, maybe not individually, but collectively. And I think that is what is reflected, in this poll. That again, showing a challenger only 5% behind is unprecedented. Now, it doesn't say anything about what's going to happen in November. Of course, we know that. But what might happen here, it might cause Governor Branstad to retool, to become more aggressive, more pointed in his attacks on Senator Hatch. It might cause Hatch to be able to attract more early support. And that's helpful because, we're looking at a campaign that, has another 5 months to go? That ain't a lot of time. In a campaign, that's a pretty quick event. And so this poll could indeed help Hatch attract more support. Hard to know exactly how it's going to come out. And, in politics, a week can be a light year. So, again, speaking of light, remember Governor Lightfoot. He he used to advertise himself during the campaign as Iowa needs Governor Lightfoot. People knew that he was actually still a congressman, and that maybe they thought that was a little bit arrogant. and he was still up in the polls 2 weeks before the November election, and he lost it to a state senator at the time, Tom Vilsack. So again, anything can happen, but the fact that this is this close, this far out, with a senator relatively unknown challenging a sitting governor who's been around for 20 years is fascinating and deserves to be looked at a little more carefully. Okay, Maddie, we've got time for one caller. I'll take it.
Alrighty, here's Frank.
All right, Frank, how are you?
Hey, Ed, a follow-up to yesterday's conversation. I was going to mention to you this story, but I didn't recall the guy's name, but since I found that out today, I thought I'd mention it to you. It's a two-part story. There was a Connecticut professor caught on tape here recently bashing Republicans, saying that people who have money hold sway over the rest of us. That's the first part of the story. The second part of the story is that there's a billionaire named Tom Steyer who has offered $100 million to the candidates running for Senate in the so-called red states that the Keystone Pipeline would affect, and basically bought Obama's delay in the pipeline, offering these candidates money to stand firm on the Keystone Pipeline, because obviously the health care issue is going to be a big detriment to the Democrats this fall. And
Frank, should I be shocked that somebody with big money is trying to influence an election?
You broke up about 3 times in that sentence. I didn't hear you.
Should I be shocked that somebody with big money is trying to buy an election?
No, that's not the point. The point is that this guy, since Obamacare is going to be a big issue in November, he thought that he would help some of these people out by offering them money to stand pat on the Keystone thing. So what I'm saying to you is that cuts both ways. The money cuts both ways, because studies and surveys show that the Keystone Pipeline is popular overwhelmingly to be passed. Obama is dragging his feet. So along comes hop-along millionaire Tom Steyer. You know, we bash the Koch brothers routinely on your show. You know, we bash people like that who have money, $80 billion between the two of them. Well, here's a hop-along Democrat, a billionaire, who is throwing mud in the wheel and clogging up the wheel with $100 million to help these people to stand pat in their decision to not go along with the Keystone Pipeline.
The bottom line is let's make sure that the truth gets talked about on this issue. But, Frank, I want to move on because we don't have much time left, and we've talked Keystone to death here. We'll continue to talk about it.
Well, check it out on Google and talk about it on your show.
Well, hey, let me ask you this. The recent poll, again, the poll just released this week, showing Governor Branstad only 5 percentage points behind or ahead of State Senator Jack Hatch. What do you think of that?
I think the campaign isn't in full swing yet, and I think when Branstad comes out swinging back, I think them poll numbers should go back up.
All right.
So I think Hatch right now has a little advantage because they're throwing everything, with the help of the Des Moines Register, who is throwing everything at Branstad and hoping something will stick. And as I said before, you know, if you held everybody to the same standard, I'd go along with it. But I think the stuff that they're kind of picking at Branstad is minor league stuff, and you know, I think Hatch is probably making some hay with it right now. But when Branstad starts swinging back, I'm pretty sure that the numbers will go back up in Branstad's favor.
If Jack Hatch is elected governor, would you leave the state of Iowa?
I might have to come down and camp out with you.
Well, that's another Jack in Iowa. You have to come down here and camp out with Mark.
I may have to. No,
I'm not sure Mark would want you here, though, Frank. I don't know how good you are at agricultural labor.
Well, listen, I can till rocks with the best of them.
All right, well, that's not going to get you very far when it comes to growing food. You might get rid of a
stray shelter. We get good shelter with rock and the clay around here. We got a lot of caliche and clay.
I've been tempted on many occasions to fall off the grid.
All right, well, and we're tempted to let you, Frank. All right, thanks for the call.
Hey,
thanks,
welcome.
Maddie, for producing this program. Thanks to Webcast One Live for providing the studio. Thanks to the folks at KHOI and KTVL for the great work you do to make those community-owned stations prosper and bring good local programming to the area. I'll be back tomorrow live, folks, at 6 p.m. on the Fallon Forum.
I want to thank you guys for listening tonight. Real quick, let's thank our business supporters. That includes Anemometry Specialists located in Alta, Iowa, offering small-scale solar and wind systems for large and small projects alike. That's Anemometry Specialists. Finally, thanks to Tally's Restaurant Bar and Catering, located in the heart of Beaverdale, serving lunch and supper daily. And Corazon Coffee Roasters, located in Valley Junction and specializing in fair trade coffee and fair trade tea. And of course, thanks again to Gateway Market and Cafe, located at 20th and Woodland on the edge of downtown in the Sherman Hill neighborhood. We'd also like to thank our organizational sponsors, the Iowa chapter of the Sierra Club, Iowa Physicians for Social Responsibility, and the Great March for Climate Action for helping to make this program possible.
Real Estate Concept Studios. This is Webcast One Live.